Dead Space is a survival horror third-person shooter for the PS3, Xbox 360 and PC released in 2008. In Dead Space, the player assumes control of Isaac Locke, an engineer who's been sent to investigate a distress signal from a deep space mining vessel, the USG Ishimura. After boarding the vessel, you'll quickly find out the reason for the distress call. The crew is nowhere to be found and the ship is infested with monsters, and naturally you're the one who needs to fix everything. The story of Dead Space is decent, albeit unremarkable, and the plot is also very predictable. The game rarely even tries to really surprise you, and the few times it does try, it fails. Isaac himself is a silent character, which creates another problem. As his face is not shown in the game, he would have needed a voice to give him some character. But now we are given this emotionless blank with no face and no voice, and yet the game expects us to be able to relate to him somehow. Another thing that bothered me about Isaac is that he never reacts to anything happening around him, unless something is trying to kill him, of course. The rest of the cast is better, but that's not really saying much. At first glance, Dead Space has a lot of things going for it. The setting is quite unique for a video game and offers many ways to take advantage of it. And there's a fairly intriguing mystery surrounding the necromorphs, but Dead Space never takes full advantage of this either. The first few moments aboard the Ishimura are really intense and effective, because you don't yet really know what's going on in the ship. But after the initial shock of meeting the necromorphs for the first time wears off, things start to go downhill. The empty spaceship provides a great opportunity for the game to build tension and create something truly terrifying. Unfortunately, after the first hour or two, the game degrades into competent but not exactly a scary shooter. And therein lies the main problem with Dead Space. It's just not scary, and for a horror game that's a bit of a problem. There are a few tense moments sprinkled throughout the game, but they are rare and usually over very quickly. The biggest reason for this is that after the beginning, the necromorphs never really pose a credible threat to the player. If the game had been a little less generous with dealing out ammunition and health packs, it wouldn't have been such a big problem. It also doesn't help that whenever a monster appears somewhere nearby, the orchestral soundtrack kicks in and ruins whatever chance they had at surprising you. This is one of the reasons why the segments where you have to go out into space were among the few truly great moments in the game. Suddenly, you were thrust into an environment where not only were you required to watch out for the monsters that could survive in the vacuum of space, but you also had to keep watch over your oxygen levels to make sure Isaac doesn't suffocate. And because there is no sound in a vacuum, the necromorphs suddenly became threatening because you couldn't hear them coming from a mile away. This leads me to perhaps the most impressive thing about Dead Space, the sound design. This is one of the few things in the game that effectively attempts to create a scary experience. Too bad the effort goes to waste. The shooting part of the game fares a bit better, as Isaac controls very well, and after getting adjusted to the controls, the shooting feels very natural. I should also mention the one gameplay aspect that separates Dead Space from other shooters. In Dead Space, the only way to effectively kill the necromorphs is to dismember them. Shooting them in the head, for example, will not have much effect on them. This makes the combat feel unique in a good way. The weapons in Dead Space are fitting for the setting, as most of the weapons you use are improvised from mining tools. This is a clever touch that greatly enhances the world's believability. Isaac can also use certain tools to solve puzzles and combat enemies. His stasis ability can slow down objects and enemies temporarily, and the kinesis module lets him pick up and move items. One other aspect of the game that deserves mentioning is the zero-gravity gameplay. This provides the game with perhaps its most memorable moment, in the form of a boss fight in a zero-gravity environment. Visually, the game is still quite impressive, despite being a few years old. And the spaceship is an interesting environment, although a bit more variety would have been nice in the overall design. Almost every area of the ship looks pretty much the same, and it gets a bit dull after a while. In closing, Dead Space is a fairly good third-person shooter, but as a horror game it's nothing special. The best kind of horror games are the ones that rely on building tension and great atmosphere to create a scary experience. Dead Space never lets any tension build outside a few moments, and the experience suffers for it. Simply put, Dead Space is not a very good horror game. If it's a shooter you're looking for, then I guess you could do a lot worse than Dead Space. But for horror, you should go somewhere else.